Right, so I got leathers on. You would think that I'm going road racing, but I can hear the sound of 450cc single cylinder motorcycles. I think we're going Supermoto right now. We're here to test the 2025 KTM 450 SMR. Now, the SMR is the factory-built supermoto racer, so you don't have to go and put 17-inch wheels on your dirt bike and change the suspension or any of that stuff. I have been the biggest convert of supermoto for the best part of 10 years. I've built a couple of RMZ 450s. I own a 450 Husqvarna that I did actually at the press launch a couple of years ago. I literally took it and shoved it in the van. I went, you're not getting it back, and I bought it straight off Husqvarna. So that's how much I love it. I've been doing all this training with Supermoto over the years. It's the best fun, really. As far as for me, I think it's the most fun you can have on a motorcycle. Like, easy, relatively affordable. You know, starts to get a bit up there when you start playing around with tires and going faster like any kind of road racing does. But this, for me, for my money, is by far the best road racing training you can do. I am too big and too fat to fit on an Ovale, so I'm going to go Supermoto racing. Let's go check out the new bikes. For anybody that doesn't know, this is Mr. Chris Fillmore, 2020 AMA Supermoto champion. 2020 AMA Supermoto champion, yep. Yeah. We went there together to Arizona, and I was able to finally get her done. Yeah, one of the OG gangsters from when like X Games and shit was the thing. Supermoto blew up in 2003, and I just happened to be there at the beginning to capitalize on it. So I think it was 2004 was the first year that they had X Games, and I ran that career out until 2008 when I finally went road racing. Let's go have a look at your new bike. So Chris knows more about these things than I do, so we're gonna go have a bit of a look. 2025 450 SMR. At the core, it's a 2025 450 SXF. Right. And then we've adapted certain unique things to create it into a supermoto bike, which is essentially what supermoto has always been. Yeah. An adaptation from a motocross bike. The major differences, which Rennie, you probably already went over this though, is the 16.5 front wheel. Yep. And the 17-inch rear. Yep. With that comes slick tires. Our bikes are provided with Metzler K1s. Yep. The next big difference is suspension settings. Not only the settings, but the height. So the front and the rear will be lowered, and the Supermoto new for 2025 now comes with a closed cartridge spring fork. Yep. So one of the things I'm most excited about with this bike is that all the final suspension settings were done by Daniel, who is our lead WP tech over in Austria, yep. And then Lucas Holbacher. Yep. So if you don't know Lucas, he's one of the fastest dudes I know in Supermoto. Dude's a beast. Completely. Competes at the top level in the World Championship. Yeah. And really, that sport has just evolved so much from when I was involved in it. Even in 2003 to 2020, yeah. It's changed a lot. So Lucas and those guys worked together to come up with this final setting, which is something unique that KTM has never brought actually to this motorcycle. So we've had fast guys do some development work on the suspension, but this one, and you guys will have to tell me because I haven't thrown a leg over it yet. Yeah. What you think of it? But I have high expectations for it. So this one it's got a different rear link as well, doesn't it? It also has a different linkage, yes. Yeah. So the knuckle and pull rod are specific for this motorcycle. For suspension, we're looking at just over an inch front and rear that it's lowered, and that just brings the center of gravity a little bit lower, make you feel a little more planted on the tarmac. Right, and so seat height's about, what, 2-3 inches lower? Approximately, yeah, somewhere in there, yeah. Okay. So you'll definitely notice it when you're throwing your leg over. You can touch with both feet if you're doing a start, something like that. Let's go for a spin. Just got off the dirt section there, which is incredible amounts of fun. Brian Sarancha with me, nickname him Hot Sauce, so I'm sure you can figure out why. He's the product manager for KTM with the SMR 450. There are a couple of big differences with this frame and the suspension. So take us through what are the three main biggest things with the new frame?
All right. So this is the frame that you'd see on like the 450 SXF.
Yeah.
It was new in 23. In 25, we wanted to add more comfort, do a better job with energy management in the frame, and reduce some of the weight.
Okay.
So those are the big three things.
Right.
We took some of the material out of the frame, dropped about 300 grams,
Okay.
put some more flex into it, so reduced the weight, added some comfort to it. We kept the same design that we launched in 23, right? So it still has its own shock tower separated from the backbone.
Yep.
So you're not getting a lot of energy from the rear up front to the rider.
Because the previous one was connected, wasn't it?
Yeah, this backbone came all the way to the shock tower, right
Okay.
out there. So with the 23 frame, we added a lot of material, more gusseting, and that definitely made it more rigid. Right? So that twisting, so you do get better cornering. That part's great. But we wanted to put a little bit more comfort back into the frame, for sure.
Right.
So we've reduced some of the wall thicknesses. We've taken out some of the stamp steel gusseting, dropped about 300 grams out of the frame, and now we have a little bit more comfort, front to back, twisting comfort. Yeah, for sure.
Suspension too, big difference for 2025.
Yeah, for sure. So the 2024 had our air fork, the fork that we have on the SXF. But some of the big benefits of the air fork, you don't really appreciate on a Supermoto. You know, it's got incredible bottoming resistance, huge range of adjustability, and it's really lightweight. But on a Supermoto bike, you're not really doing big jumps like you are on a motocross machine. For the adjustment range, like you're not riding moto and supercross and desert and cross country, so you don't really need to adjust it as much. And actually a little bit of weight up front can be good. So we switched from that lighter air fork to add about 3 pounds, and we put this closed cartridge spring fork.
So explain us the difference with the closed cartridge fork.
Versus an open cartridge fork?
There you go.
Well, first thing, this would all be flipped over. So you'd have the cartridge down below on the open cartridge system. You'd have the spring up here. So we drop the spring down, which is where it should be. We want to keep the weight as low as possible. Flip the whole thing over. And now the cartridge, it's not open at the bottom anymore, right? What would be the bottom? On an open cartridge fork, as the push rod and piston go through the cartridge and you're displacing all that fork fluid, comes out into the tube. It pulls it back in, it pushes it back out as the fork cycles, and you have cavitation, you're breaking down your fork fluid. With this system, all of the displaced fork fluid goes into this reservoir. There's a piston behind it, there's a spring behind that, so it's always under pressure as that piston moves and the spring closes. Always keeping the fluid under pressure means it doesn't cavitate, it doesn't break down the same way, and so you have constant damping all the time.
So Lucas Holbacher was involved in the development of that fork too, wasn't he?
Absolutely. We have a couple guys who race pro that are in R&D. We have Lucas Holbacher, who's a big part of our R&D program in Austria. He's got the new gen bike in his garage right now, I can tell you. So yeah, it's great to get the feedback from these guys.
Well, how much quicker did he go with the spring fork?
When we put this fork on his bike and made no other changes, he dropped a second in his lap time. It was about a 1 minute lap. He took a second off.
It's pretty good for someone that's operating at that level.
Absolutely, that's huge.
All right, cool. And airbox covers here. What's the difference between these two?
So the air boot on the old design, so this is the new one, this is the old one. You can feel how soft this is. When you're hard on the throttle, you're getting deformation. You're not really able to pull as much air in. This new design, more rigid, less deformation, you're pulling more air in. Simple.
Okay.
So just better throttle response.
Nice. Thanks, bud.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go for a ride. It's been a while since I've ridden Supermoto, and I'm now so annoyed at myself for all the riding that I've missed out on in the last couple of years. I haven't had that much fun in so long. I'm not just saying that because the bike's right behind me. You probably can hear me when I'm talking about it, but man, it is the most fun I can have personally on a motorcycle is Supermoto, because I'm a terrible motocross rider, but I can road race, and it's the perfect mix of the two. I just don't know why this sport isn't bigger than what it should be, but Anyway, let's talk about the motorcycle, the 2025 KTM 450 SMR. Now, $12,000, I have to write it down, $12,149 MSRP it's going to cost you. Yes, that's a pretty old penny, and it is a very focused motorcycle. It's not like when you go and buy an SXF, for example. When you're buying a Supermoto, you're buying a Supermoto to go Supermoto riding. So you got to want to buy it. That's the thing. You're kind of pigeonholed in that regard. But the flip side of that is the bike is so damn good at what it does. KTM is the only manufacturer now that has a 450 Supermoto bike. Maybe when you take into account things like TM and that, which yes, you can buy a TM, but like they're so different level of customer, I think, compared to what you're going to get with your SMR. 63 horsepower. That little single cylinder, that 450cc single cylinder motor, 63 horsepower. What? Like, it's crazy how fast the thing accelerates. And it's compared to my old Husky, I don't know what my Husky's got, but it definitely doesn't have 63 horsepower, I can tell you that. I remember back in the day when 450 singles were pumping out 50 horsepower. Now you got 63. On a go-kart track, that is an absolute rocket ship. Like, I highly doubt, you could jump on a bike with twice the horsepower and you wouldn't be able to ride that thing as fast as what you can that. Watching someone like Chris Fillmore on a bike like this is poetry in motion. And, you know, I'm completely lost for words when I watch someone like that, because it shows you just what you can do on this thing. The 63 horsepower made it to traction control, launch control, 2 maps, a soft and a hard map. I spent most of my time in the soft map, like the softer throttle response map. The more potent throttle response I found was a bit too aggressive for me, and you know, I liked that little initial opening to be a little bit softer, especially around some of the hairpins here at Apex. You also have a quick shifter with this bike. It's an up quick shifter only. 2nd gear to 5th gear, it will work. I'm not entirely convinced of it. Most of the time it works, but it can miss gears. At least I missed a couple of gears. Plus I'm wearing road race boots as well, and I think maybe the shift height wasn't quite the way I needed, because I was sharing it with a guy who had moto boots. So a little bit, maybe I wasn't quite getting the shift I should have. But when you slow everything down, slow your movements down, and then just snick those gears, oh man, I've never had a 450 single with a quick shifter. It's pretty damn good, just like on a superbike, man. Click, 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 and good times. Now, the big thing for 2025 is that new spring fork and the frame. I hadn't ridden a 23 model 450 Supermoto from KTM, so I can't entirely comment on the difference. What I can tell you is that it is incredibly easy to ride. That spring fork gives you a lot of feel, especially under braking. It tracks exactly as you want. Like, we didn't do anything, I think, to the fork. It's a completely stock setting. So very impressed, and the lap times are pretty quick too. So compared to my old air fork, you do get a lot more feel out of it. At least I feel that you do. Again, been a while since I'd ridden it, but a very, very good improvement from KTM. The frame difference for me, look, I can only quantify by saying it's a very easy bike to ride. It doesn't feel as highly strung as what I remember the old bikes were to ride, because the old bikes, they are race bikes, and so is this. This is a race bike, but like in a lot of things that other manufacturers have done in recent times with especially super bikes, they're going away from that super high rigidity frame and letting the bike move more and letting it flex more, which in turn gives you more feel and lets you punch on harder, especially outer corners, because the thing can sit down and then off you go. So yeah, kudos to KTM for that. It's good times. Got to say, that morning that I've just spent on this has completely rekindled my love in supermoto riding. I'm so mad with myself considering how much riding I've missed in the last couple of years. It is a fantastic motorcycle. Like, I cannot speak highly enough. I can't get close to the limit of it. I think that's a fantastic thing, because it allows you to keep coming back and finding something new every time. But again, a little bit pricey, but hey, it is a dedicated scalpel tool for a specific job. It is not a Swiss Army knife motorcycle. This is a bloody machete. I'm all about that big machete life. Like, let's go. I'm gonna go and wrap this thing up, and I'm gonna go and put my airbag on, my helmet on, and we're gonna go shred again. So anyway guys, that's a quick wrap up for the 2025 KTM 450 SMR. Hope you like this. I'm gonna go for another skid. Until next time guys, keep it roll side down. Catch you then. Cheers.